Welcome to the Fight with Teddy Atlas. I'm Ken Rideout, joined as always by legendary trainer and Hall of Fame broadcaster, the great Teddy Atlas. And today we've got a very special guest, Boston's own, Boston's finest, Irish Micky Ward, former WBC super lightweight champion of the world. Which one?
WBU.
WBO?
U.
WBU champion of the world.
Doesn't matter.
Close enough. WBC, WBU, the ABC super lightweight champion of the world.
Yeah.
What's a letter when you have a special fighter?
The best. My favorite fighter of all time.
That gets to a point, really. It's funny because I remember one time I was calling a guy on ESPN a champion, and people were saying, but he's no longer got the belts. I said, you don't need them. The people know who the champion is. The people know who the best fighters are. And there were certain fighters that didn't need a belt because of the way they fought, because of the excitement that they brought into the arena to the fans. You know who they were? They were a guy he knows real well, Arturo Gatti. He didn't need a belt. It didn't matter. As long as he was in the ring, people were going to come. Mike Tyson, again. And proof is in the pudding. Later in his career, when he was way past himself, he didn't need a belt. He still drew people because of the way he fought in the ring, because of what the people, at the end of the day, it's the people that decide. People know what they know. People know what they want. They know what they like. And there was another guy that was like that. We happen to be very fortunate to have him next to us, Micky Ward. They didn't care what alphabet letters were attached to the belt. They cared about him and what they were going to see because of him. And they knew what they were going to see because of him. They
knew they were going to get an exciting fight and definitely get their money's worth. And we'll talk about one of the fights where one of the commentators was saying they weren't getting their money's worth until, like you said, Mick, you won 1 second of the entire fight. And it was the only second that mattered. And that fight was in 1997 against Alfonso Sanchez. You were fighting, and Jim Lampley, Larry Merchant, and Roy Jones, they were at one point, I don't know if it was, I think it was Merchant said, someone should stop this fight. Mickey's taking a beating. He's getting destroyed. Stop it. Roy Jones said, wow, we should probably get our money back for this one. I think it was the 7th round, and he was putting it on you. And you hit him with one body shot, and you could see him react. And Roy Jones said, oh, that was a pretty good body shot there. First nice shot Mickey's landed. Mm-hmm. Probably 10 seconds later, you hit him with another one. Perfect signature Micky Ward left hook to the ribs. Down goes Alfonso. The minute he hit the deck, Roy Jones said, he ain't getting up. And he didn't get up for about 2 more minutes.
Right. And when he went down, it's funny. When he went down, right, I'm looking at him like, come on, get up, right? But in my head, I'm saying, please don't get up. Please don't get up, right? And he didn't get up. I go, yeah. But I was like, damn. Because he punched hard, you know what I mean? Because I was, that particular fight, I just started off moving, and I never really moved that much without punching. And it was just my bad of the way I was fighting. I just couldn't get going. I just, for some reason, I don't know, but I wasn't going to quit now. I was taking a beating and stuff, but I'd rather take a beating than quit, and I'll take that every day of the week, take a beating before quitting. And if I would have gave in or would have stopped it because they wanted to stop it in my corner a few times, and I said, "You'd stop this, I'm gonna go nuts." They didn't stop it, but if they did stop it and I did quit, my career would be over. I'd be nowhere now.
That's right.
So luckily I didn't.
Was Dickie in your corner in that fight, Dickie Eklund?
No, he was at camp then.
Yeah.
I always say, Mick, when I was doing all the ESPN fights at ringside, now I do the Sports Center stuff, but I always say that. And you could verify this, and you could speak to this probably better than just about anybody. I always say that it's harder to quit than it is to fight. Because if you quit, you got to live with that for eternity.
Exactly. Like we were talking earlier, Ted, about the quitting and no quit. You got to live with it. You live in your own body. People can say, oh, this, that, but if you can go more, you can't. And if I quit, if I stop fighting, which, maybe I could have said, I don't want to fight. I have to live with that every day. I look at myself in the mirror. I got to know that, I quit. Everyone knows, hey, Mickey, yeah, this, that. But when you look in the mirror, it's just you. You're in your own skin. You're like, can you accept quitting? I couldn't. I couldn't. So, and that's why I never quit.
Yeah,
no one to quit.
And the fighting, the reason I always have that saying, it's harder to quit than it is to fight. The fighting's only going to last another moment. You never know. But the most that it can last is 36 minutes. Right. I mean, that's the 12 rounds, right? So exactly. Is that 12 times 3, right? It's still, you're right. Still 36, right? I mean, that's the most it can last. 36 minutes. You haven't done something harder in your life than keep yourself together and push through things. If you haven't, you probably will someday. And as I always say to fighters, there's certain things in life that, we can control, but there's certain things we can't. And there's certain things that are going to happen in life. You might lose somebody close to you. Exactly. And you can't control that. But those 36 minutes in the ring, you can control that.
You can control, right.
You can control how you act, the choices you make.
Right.
And you always made the right choices. You always found a way. That's what makes you special.
Yeah.
You always found a way to control Micky Ward. Forget about the other guy. You didn't control him all the time.
Right, exactly.
But you controlled Micky Ward, right?
Yes, I did. And sometimes things went longer than I should have let them, or I didn't do certain things I should have done at that moment, Ted. But I always found a way, and I just always kept that in the back of my mind that I can keep doing. I can do it. I can do it. I never quit on myself inside. Because once you say inside and you're putting your mind that you're tired or you can't beat the guy or whatever, you're done. It's like running. You guys know you ran. Once you say I'm tired, you're tired.
Yep.
You can't make that turn back around and say, okay, I'm not tired no more. You're tired. You're not going to keep going. So if you say you're hurt or this or that, you're going to quit.
The thing
I always kept that faith.
With Alfonso,
the
thing with that fight was that, let's just say that you had... Oh, it's all right. That's okay. We can't quit, but we can shut the phone off. Right? See, we control. No, it's okay. It's good proof again. We control things. We can control that phone.
That's right.
Listen, in that fight, the thing was that there was a lot of moments. I mean, you just talked about how Merchant and Lampley was saying and Jones was saying, and rightfully so from what they were saying, we're not knocking them. I mean, it was saying what they were saying, that this is a one-sided fight and, maybe they should stop this fight. And the only one that it mattered wasn't saying that was you.
Right.
It didn't matter what they were saying, because here's the thing about it. If you had said it and you had given in and submitted and gone along with that, and any time, you had plenty of times to do it.
Right.
You never, to my point, you would have never known how close you were to landing that punch.
Exactly.
Right. Think about it. 10 seconds before. Let's go back in time. 10 seconds. Not a year before. Not a month before. Not an hour before. Right. 10 seconds before that. You were getting hit shots. You weren't feeling too good.
No, not at all.
And if you gave in 10 seconds earlier to that feeling, you never would have got to where you got to.
Exactly.
So you never know where it's going to turn.
Exactly. That's why you always got to keep in the back of your mind, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. And it's just, I don't give a shit if I was dazed or what. I just think I can do it. Sometimes I've gotten hit and I thought I was in a different world. I don't know. But I kept going and I came out of it. I wasn't going to,
But that's
I came out of it, and by sticking with what you're doing when you're in that moment, I just fought through it somehow.
But that's to the point that it's harder to quit than it is to fight. Because not only because you live with it for eternity, if you quit, I mean, it doesn't go away.
Right.
But the moment of fighting goes away. Not only 36 minutes. The hard part of a fight could be 20 seconds. Yeah. The storm of a fight. You've been in a lot of storms.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right? The storm of a fight could be 20 seconds.
Right.
So you're going to give in for 20 seconds.
Right.
You're not thinking of it that moment because that 20 seconds feels like it's going to last for 20 years.
Yeah, 100%. Exactly. Yeah, you just got to fight through it. It's just take them as they come, I guess.
To bring the magnitude of this a little more, say the record of what Alfonso Sanchez's record was, because it was, if I remember correctly, it was all knockouts. It was like 15-0 with 15 knockouts, something like that. I mean, just for the people at home to really hear that record.
He was 16-0 at the time, and I think he had 16. 16-0 at the time with 15 knockouts.
16-0 with 15 knockouts. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And obviously they thought I was going to be number 16. 17-0 or whatever it was.
Until you hit him with that shot, it looked like you were going to be.
Yeah, but I just knew I could, if they didn't stop it on me, if I just knew for some reason, I just knew I could do it, Ted. I just knew if I took a lot of punches, like getting that and close to. I didn't want to get in that close, but I had to get in. Guy said, I got to do something or the fight going to stop the fight. So I kind of got like not pressured, but I did actually get pressured. But I had to do something, and I said, "What? I got to give me a round or two. I'm going to go out and I'm going to see if I can land something." And I did. I never gave myself a chance because I didn't stay there long enough. I was moving too much. For what reason? I don't know.
That fight to me kind of summarizes your whole career. It seems like you're getting beat, even if it's just in one fight, and boom, big shot. Never quitting on yourself and never giving up. And it's a testament to the kind of person you are. And I'm going to get into a little bit of your background now, and only because we share a very similar similar path in life. Back in 1989, I started working at the House of Correction in Billerica as a correction officer, like a week after I graduated high school. And 2 years later, I see Micky Ward coming in a uniform. And, I said, dude, is that Micky Ward, the fighter?
Not as an inmate.
No.
Make that clear.
I'm going to get into that.
Let's say it again. Micky Ward came in as a guest.
As a guard. Yeah. No. As a guard. He worked there as a correction officer. We both did.
I never even knew that part about your history.
This is the part of the movie that I would have changed, is like told more of that story, because what's interesting about that, and you and I grew up in similar circumstances. I grew up for the most part in Somerville. You were in Lowell. I used to call Lowell and Lawrence like Somerville with trees.
Exactly.
And we both probably had, in addition to our siblings, probably a bunch of family members that were inmates there. So I always tell the story when I walked in there. Guy Barry Hiltz comes running over, an older guy from the neighborhood, but like a big tough Irish guy, and picks me up on his shoulder the first day. I'm 18. I'm in my prison guard uniform on, and starts running around with me. And Mick, people have this envision this like Shawshank Redemption style. Like, no. This is like a reform school for fresh kids in high school. Like they're punking the teachers, only it's the correction officer. It's not like this.
Right. It wasn't the state.
Yeah. And Dickie was in there, no secret, before, and then thank God not while you were working there, and then after you were there. And my brother was there shortly after I stopped working there.
Was in there when I worked
there. I had a bunch of cousins, uncles.
How long did you work there?
I was 1989. I was 26 to 20.
You ever had an inmate where left took so bad?
No. Oh. I would like to. I would have liked to, a few guys, but one kid drove me nuts. But that was it. Yeah. No one ever bothered me. Nah. The funny story, when I first went there, they take you they take you down a tier to like to see like the tiers, like, and like
the long hallway with inmates on both sides. It's very intimidating the first time you walk into an adult men's prison. I was used to it,
because I know I've been up to them before. I go visit people, but so I'm walking down, and a couple of kids, hey Mickey, how much time did you get? Right? And the guy and the people taking me on the walk are like, you know him? You know him?
That's exactly right.
How do you know him? I'm like, well, I grew up with him. And he goes, oh yeah, you grew up with this kid too? You grew up with that kid too? And all kids from like where I used to live in Lowell and the Acre. And
they were starting to think you were wearing the wrong uniform.
Yes, exactly.
That's exactly right.
And luckily, I wasn't wearing the wrong uniform.
No, but the guards were starting to think.
Oh yeah, he's looking at me saying, how the hell you know him?
To me, working there, Mick, the worst part about working there was the other guards were 90% worse than the inmates. The ball busting and the like, almost like hazing. Not like, listen, I'm never going to let myself get bullied. I'd rather be dead. Right. But it wasn't easy. Like, I was like a young kid out of high school. These union guys, we were there for like filling in for summer help so they could take vacations. And man, when you think the inmates are trying to get you and the guards, you don't think they have you back, it's a lonely place being in there, man. And believe it or not, the only people that I ever really associated with or had any like lighthearted moments with there were inmates that grew up in my neighborhood or that I knew from the streets out there. Like, we'd walk around the ball field for 2 hours, chit chat.
We had more in common with them than you did everybody else.
Exactly. They were like anything. There's good guys.
Not guys. Against them, but most of the guys were from good neighborhoods and good families. You know what I mean? Yeah. And people that not someone that their family's been in jail.
Exactly.
And like this or that,
it was almost how do you know all these inmates? Like, probably one step away from being there myself. I just, like you said about the fight though, I just never quit on myself. I always felt like, no man, I'm going to keep doing the right. I know I'm getting out of here. I know I'm getting out of this situation that I was in.
Yeah. I know I have a podcast in my future.
With the great Teddy Out. If you told me last year I'd be sitting here with Teddy Atlas and Micky Ward, I would have said, you're effing crazy. I'd have a better chance of winning the middleweight world title.
Micky, talk a little bit about, you're known for your toughness and your chin, your toughness, and your resolve, your character, the choices you make in the ring. Some of that got formed in the gym, obviously, but some of it got formed in other places. Talk about where it got formed.
Ted, people say that. I really don't know because I'm really a good guy outside of the ring and this, that, and
salt of the earth.
Can I just say one thing? Even when I worked in the jail, Micky was literally one of the nicest guys I had ever met. No bullshit. The guy didn't have a problem with anyone. He was just a nice guy.
Where did the development come from?
The thing is when I get toughness. When I get it, see, the thing is when I get in that ring, it's different. I get different. I got goosebumps now thinking about it. I get different. It's just I don't want to lose. I want to hurt you more than you want to hurt me in there. I'll go out after and have a bill year after. I'll have whatever. You know what I mean?
Where in your life did that come from?
I don't know. I don't know if it was just. I don't know. I don't know who it's from. Why I have.
You want your wind to get better, you do road work, right?
Yeah.
You want your jab to get better, you hit the bag with your jab. You want your muscles to get bigger, you pick up some weights. But you want your resolve. You want your intestinal fortitude to grow.
Right.
Things happen to you. Sometimes it's things you didn't even think
maybe
about.
some things happened to me when I was younger. Maybe like that tough, strong, and mentally and stuff. I had a book that was out.
Yeah.
Things that happened to me younger.
Talk about some of them. And
when I was a kid, growing up, and things that happened to me with another person, and it made me stronger instead of whatever. You know what I mean? Instead of.
Talk about those things. If you
I was abused.
Unless you don't want to.
No, I don't give a shit,
Right.
Teddy. I was actually abused younger, and it made me stronger. People say, some people go to doing it to, how could someone hurt a kid or want to do that to a kid? I'd literally do time myself and hurt somebody that tried to hurt a kid or a woman or an older person. So I think maybe something like that made me just as tough mentally going through that. You know what I mean, Ted? It's not something I don't really talk about, but
I understand.
It's just life, and I think that's what made me hard nosed and inside the ring. It's still funny outside this that, but that's what made me not give a F about the person in front of me or what.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
That was.
The thing about the heart, people say, "Oh, Micky Ward, he got the biggest heart in boxing. He's got this." We all have the same size heart here. It's the will to endure things, to take things, not like get cut, get busted up. It's your will to endure it and keep going through it. Where you think you're going to die, I'm so tired. And you're not going to die. You might pass out, but you're not going to die. Somebody will pick you up, the referee or somebody. You know what I mean? You get to a hospital, whatever.
That's very true.
But you got to keep going. And that's what I had.
That's a good lesson for people listening. If Micky Ward can do these things, like you said, everyone's heart's the same size.
Mm-hmm.
It's all mental. If you tell yourself you can do it, you never know whether you can or you can't. You never know when you're one more step away.
You know when you can't do it, Mick?
Yeah.
There's one time that you really can't do it. You know when it is?
What's that?
When you say you can't do it, like you just said.
Exactly.
It's that simple sometimes. We don't even know what we can do because half the time we stop before we get to that place.
Right. And that's people get scared of going to that dark place they never been. I wasn't scared of going to that place because I don't know why I wasn't scared.
Because you've been there? Because you've been there?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I was in it. Exactly. Internal I was there.
Yeah.
So I didn't care.
Yeah. Well,
it
got you to a good place.
Yeah. Then the Canastota.
Yeah, it sure did.
Yeah.
No, it sure did.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Got you.
Not in here, but I'm here.
Got you to some of the biggest fights in the history of this sport.
Oh, yeah.
This sport's around 200 years. You're not that old, are you?
Sometimes I feel like it. No.
No. But you are.
No, you're right.
Right? And I'm a son of a gun when it comes to I usually favor the older era when there were guys around that had 300 fights and, guys that there was so many great fighters fighting each other, you know. But every once in a while, there's great fighters around today that match up in any era, you know. Not a million of them, but there are some. And I'm very tough on saying that a fighter is great or that a fight is great. It might be very good, but it takes a lot of elements to the fight to be great. And to fit in with some of the fights of the guys back in the era where you had the best fighting the best, and you had guys that had 200, 300 pro fights, had 110 knockouts. People like Henry Armstrong, who held the featherweight, the lightweight, the welterweight, and really the middleweight. He actually fought Severino Garcia. He fought a draw, but he got robbed. So he would have owned 4 full, not junior, 4 weight class titles, and he defended all 3, the 3 he had simultaneously. So I'm favoring that era a little bit, but every once in a while, there's a fight that there's no denying it fits in any era. And it's one of the greatest of any era in a sport that's 200 years old. You own one of those fights. Yeah. You're the author. You're the author of one of those fights. And I have no problem saying it. Maybe the greatest fight I ever saw. I mean, there's like 3 or 4 of them. But maybe the greatest fight I ever saw was Micky Ward, Arturo Gatti 1.
Yeah, it's it's funny because you look at it like Dad said, am I a Hall of Famer? No, but I know I left everything out there. I'm part of history. Like, you know what I mean? Things will never be forgotten that I did.
One of the greatest fights in the history of the sport, and it may be the greatest round, the 9th round.
Oh, for sure.
That round stands up with maybe a head, but it stands up with any round in the history of the sport.
Right.
Any argument out there, any argument from you people out there, feel free to say it. But you know what? I think you're wrong. I think you're wrong.
Well, that's good. See, now there we go back to the thing where if I gave up, that never would have happened. If I gave in against Sanchez, none of this would have happened. So that's why in that particular fight, I never gave up because I didn't know things would happen like they happened. But if I didn't do that, none of this would have happened. So
I know Ken's more organized than me, and he's smarter than me, but I jump all over the place. Talk about that fight. That's good.
Yeah. Talk about which?
Talk about the first fight.
Talk about that. The whole thing. How you got the fight. Just how it came, because you had been fighting not for big money. Let's get right to it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I was telling Mickey when we got in here that I remember specifically seeing him fight on TV at the Roxy in Boston. And, I'm watching him. I know him from the prison. And then all of a sudden I put on HBO one night and I say, what the heck? Micky Ward's fighting Arturo Gatti. Oh my God, I hope he doesn't get hurt. Arturo Gatti's oh God, I hope he doesn't get hurt.
But it's not just that, it's to jump up in purses. I mean, you were fighting for 5,000. I'm just using an arbitrary number.
That was a lot for me.
Yeah.
I mean, and then at that time, 5,000 was like $1 million.
Yeah.
But just to give some context to like how big this fight was, right? Like you might have fought at the Roxy like month before. Now all of a sudden you're on HBO main event on HBO against Arturo Gatti. And I know Teddy had been advocating for a long time at HBO to like, or if with bigger promoters to give you the bigger money fights and big TV fights. I know we've talked about it in the past, but talk about the fight and how it came to fruition and like the whole process.
Right. Well, I think it started from, I fought Jesse Leah, and the fight went 3-4 rounds or whatever, and they stopped on a cut, and so HBO I think gave me
James Leah.
Yes, so I think they gave me the Gatti fight as a not a gift, but like saying okay, that you lost that fight, we lost that fight. We're gonna give you like a payback. We're gonna give you a money fight against Gatti, the first one. I said it'll be a great entertainment because 2 guys that go at each other
not
and
known for their defense.
Yeah. Right. And so I was like, yeah, for sure, I'll do it, definitely. What else? What do I got to lose? I have nothing to lose, and so they gave it to us and we trained our butt off. I killed myself running, spar, everything, and like I always did, and the fight happened and it became what it became. But
during the camp, were you working full time?
No, actually they gave me enough expense money. I didn't have to work.
Oh, good.
You know what I mean, Ted?
Good. Because you work on
work on the construction.
basically putting asphalt roads down.
Asphalt, roads and stuff like that, curb, sidewalks, and all that. So, I got time off for that.
But through most of your career, you worked for...
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I worked. Yeah.
But the point I'm making is that you went from fighting in Roxy, you went
from fighting in Roxy to probably
shows.
A few thousand, whatever it was, to making $1 million in like 4 years or so. And this is funny. Teddy, one of my fights, I fought a kid. We got Fight of the Year in Ring Magazine. Manuel Augustus, Manuel Burton at the time.
Yeah.
Fight was so good, Teddy screaming in the microphone. Anybody out there who's watching this fight, give this man a big money fight. I don't care who you are, what promoter you are. Give this man a big money fight. And it just happened. And then it happened. So, Teddy, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Teddy was losing his breath. He's screaming so loud. I said anybody out there, give this guy a goddamn big money fight.
I wish that
he was like,
I wish I could do that.
He was,
but
he was all red and everything.
Yeah, I was just trying to use my platform to,
it worked.
I got, when I saw you, I saw you a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
I caught a lot of your fights. And it was like, I felt kind of like that guy in the movie that he opens the window and he tells everybody, just open your window and scream, I've had enough. Like I just felt like I had to open the window.
I'm not going to take it anymore.
And I ain't going to take it no more. I just felt that, that night watching you, it wasn't that night. It was like, that was the culmination of many nights I watched you and I called your fights. And I saw what you went through to get to the victory, to get to where you were going. And I knew what you were getting paid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute. I've had enough of this. I can't take this no more. Yeah. So that night, I didn't
Teddy
even.
was almost blue in the face.
I didn't even.
I've seen it.
I didn't even plan it. I didn't. I just
came out.
I just said, like he said, but I screamed to HBO. I screamed to everybody, and I said, "You guys." You've been, the fans all of was sick and tired of watching you put in these overpaid, overweight heavyweights in there for millions and millions of dollars. Because I knew what they were doing. They were putting Riddick Bowe and guys, and Riddick Bowe was tremendous. Don't get me wrong. And Rock Newman did a tremendous job with him. But at that time, HBO was giving him $5 million a pop to fight, to fight doormen, and guys that he was just destroying, and he was getting paid all this money. The fans weren't getting none out of it. You know what I mean? HBO wasn't getting their money's worth, but they were putting the money up for. So I said, hey, why don't you change a little bit of pace here? Why don't you change up this plan a little bit, and give it to a couple welterweights, junior welterweights, whatever you were at that time. What were you, welterweight or junior?
Junior, my whole career.
Yeah, junior welterweight. Give a couple smaller guys that put it all on the line, that give the fans what they're freaking looking for. Give them one of those millions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it happened.
But that fight, well, you made it happen because of your history and because of what you went through to get there.
Right.
But it didn't disappoint.
Right, yeah. You think?
It didn't disappoint. Let's talk about that fight.
Yeah, well, we got the fight. Obviously, I was the underdog big time, and but I was fine with that because I was used to that role. And
did it help you be an underdog, really?
It did, because you know why, Teddy? There was no pressure on me, Ted. There was no pressure. People expected me to lose. They probably thought I was going to lose, or they most definitely probably thought I was going to lose. I knew in my heart I could win. Which way I could win, I don't know. But I knew I could win. I'm not a cocky person to say, I know I'm definitely going to win and I'm going to knock this guy out and then get beat. I'm not that person. I know inside I can win, and I keep it there. I don't have to talk about it. I can talk nice about the guy, shake his hand, but I'll see him in the ring and be different, and I know I could beat him, and I knew it was going to be a tough fight, and I knew I was going to the hospital after. I knew that. I was either going to stitches or some damn thing.
No, seriously, go back on that. You going into the fight that you're going to wind up probably going to the hospital? Yeah.
Guarantee.
You probably knew to land that punch, you were probably going to have to take some and get close.
That might not sounds crazy to think that, but I knew I was going to get being a war, you know what I mean? Yeah. And chances are you're going to get cut or whatever, so pretty bad or whatever, so I didn't mind that either, but then the fight started, and then first few rounds, he boxed like Teddy Buddy McGirt, he got as a trainer, changed his whole style around and got him back to doing what he did when he was younger, box, counter punching things, and he was doing good at that for the first few rounds, and then I caught up to him. I caught up to him. The pressure just
was there a moment in the fight where you caught him with a body shot or a big shot?
I think it was in the fourth round, or into the third or the fourth round, or whatever, started to change.
Could you see it in his face? Like, oh, I'm getting to him. I could tell he's hurt.
Not really, because he kind of had hit it pretty good, you know.
What is it that you think was the change? Like, what did you notice change? Did he slow down?
No, that I was just getting to him more.
Okay.
And if I knew I can get to him, I knew I was physically stronger. Like, you know, he might have had bigger legs than me, but my upper body was bigger, I believe. And I was more physically strong than him. And I think I didn't overpower him, but I think I just was a lot stronger in that fight.
You changed the course of the fight.
Right. And by him hitting me so much and not hurting me, he got disgusted and probably saying, what the F I got to do to this guy?
Yep.
But you also made him start fighting your fight.
And that's exactly right. And by me pressuring him out through the first 4 or 5 rounds, he started getting tired. His legs got tired because he probably didn't expect to go that long or whatever. Mentally, probably already had the fight won. Maybe, who knows?
Yep.
So I caught up to him in the 5th, 6th round. Everything just changed. You know, and then it became what it became, crazy.
Yeah. So this is Micky Ward. You know, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
You know, in the press conference and stuff, you know, it's kind of like the Rocky movie with Apollo Creed. You know, it's I'm fighting some Italian stallion or whatever. What is an Italian stallion? And then all of a sudden it becomes what it becomes. Right. So this is an Italian stallion. So this is Micky Ward. You know, at some point, that happened.
Yeah, it did. I believe it was like from the 5th to the 9th round or 10th round, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everything just changed, and our styles just meshed to make great fights, I believe, you know, because, you know, they became great fights. The first and third were fight of the year, and the second one wasn't so great for me, but third either, but they were still very competitive fights, all three of them, you know.
You're kidding me? And they wouldn't have happened without the effort of the first one.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And they got you something. Listen, we get to the point here. You know, it's part of it, right? It's a business.
It is.
They got you paid again.
They got me paid again. I got good money for the first one. Second one, $1 million, and
wow.
You know, after everything taken out from the trainers and everything. So
I mean, they got you what. You got you what you worked your whole life to get.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you didn't know if you were going to get it, but you got what you deserved.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
You talk about that 9th round, because, you know, for me to make a statement like it's one of the greatest rounds, if not the greatest rounds I've ever seen in the history of the sport. See, I had the benefit of being up with Custom Auto, where I got to watch the films of all the great fighters. You know, Big Fights Incorporated. That was Bill Caton and Jim Jacobs. Back in those days, it was 18 millimeter film, and they would send it up, and they would say, "Keep it out of Teddy's hands because he keeps breaking the film." You know, because Cus taught me.
You're kidding me?
Yeah, I know. Cus would say, "Do you know what these films are worth, Teddy? Do you know?" Jimmy said the last one you sent back was missing like 3 feet of. I said, "Really? Oh man!"
How much did he end up selling? How much they end up selling that library for?
$80 million to ESPN.
And they're letting Teddy put it on a projector.
And I was in control of it. Think about it. That might be the greatest revelation we ever put on this show. Ever.
So if you see an old fight on ESPN and it's missing around, it's Teddy did it.
You see the great Henry Armstrong. He was one of the greatest of all. You see him, you know, in there with one of those great fighters, and then all of a sudden it skips forward, you know, to
3 rounds.
3 rounds. Yeah, you know, I did that, but that I got to see all these guys, so I have context, as they say. I know what to compare it to. When I saw that, it was like reading a book, and it really was, because there were different chapters,
right?
Yeah. You know, the first chapter was about Arturo Gatti, his life, you know, and then the middle chapters started telling us about Micky Ward and his life, and then the later chapters started telling us about both of you fighting for a new life.
Yeah.
For a life that was created that night.
Yeah.
On canvas, in front of us.
Yeah.
And going to places that neither one of you to that point had been.
Right.
And finding out about yourselves.
Right.
So tell us just that. I got to hear about that round.
The ninth round?
Yeah.
The ninth round was tough. It started out, I heard him at the end of the eighth round.
Mm-hmm.
Ninth round comes out, bang, the bell rings, and I went out right at him, Ted, too. I knew he'd still be hurt. And I had him against the ropes, and I caught him, a tap to the head and ripped to the body, and right under his arm, and he went down, and he had a grimace on his face, and I'm like, yeah, he ain't getting up. I goes, no, I goes, that's it. He ain't getting up. And he got
and
up.
most people didn't get up from that.
100%.
The liver.
The liver shot, yeah.
Because that stays with you.
Yeah, it lingers in there.
Yeah, paralyzes you.
Mm-hmm. And he didn't get up. I was like, oh, yeah. He didn't. I mean, he was down, and I'm saying, don't get up. He get up. I'm like, oh, shit. So now then I go after him, and I almost fall down trying to go over to him, try to get to him. I almost fall on the ground, but I get him. Then I start ripping punches at him, and he's weathering the storm. Then I kind of said, whoa, if I blow my load now, right, he's going to kind of know how he is. He's coming back at me. So I kind of he kind of starts taking over that round, and I go against the rope. But I could see every punch he was throwing at that point. I was catching everything because he was going wide.
Yeah.
And he punched me on the hips more than he punched me anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
My hips were black and blue the next day. And so I'm catching everything. I could see it. And then I switched it on him.
Yep.
And then I got him in the corner right towards the end. I thought they were going to stop it.
I did too.
I thought they were going to stop it so bad. Because I thought they were ready to jump in. And I thought Buddy was ready to throw it in. Like, I thought he was on the corner, on the ring apron to throw it in. And so I was like, yeah, I'm still punching. And then bell rings. I go back to my corner, and Buddy was like on the ring apron with the thing. And I thought they'd stop it. Buddy had even told me that.
Really?
He was ready to stop that fight.
He was going to stop it?
He was going to stop the fight. But the bell rang, and he went down, and the fight went on. But I thought they had stopped it because they were everyone went over to Toro's corner.
Yeah.
And I thought in all the commotion, I thought they had stopped it. So I get up, went, yeah, the fight's over. I'm like, yeah, I'm like a sign of relief. Like, oh, fuck. Excuse my language. I'm like, yeah, it's over, right?
Sure.
And Frank Cappuccino, the worst words I ever heard. No, fight's not over. No. I'm like, you son of a bitch. Right? I'm like, you SOB. He goes, get back in your corner. He goes, that fight ain't over. What's wrong with you?
Oh my! What's wrong with me? I just got hit.
Yeah, I'm dead.
The crazy thing is
now from being tired from the punches, from just being up on that
emotional high and low.
It's not. I mean,
that must have been hard to.
It was hard, but it wasn't. It wasn't.
No, but to. I mean, the body does funny things. The mind does funny things. Like when you think it's over, you think it's over. It's like now I can let go.
Right.
Now I can let up.
Right.
And then you had to recalibrate and
to go back out in the fight. And I mean, and then I went out at him. I went right after him, and he boxed good, and then he started coming back at me. I'm like, what the? Ooh, and then, it ended up being a good 10th round. He probably won it or whatever, but luckily I got the decision.
Yeah, I think that I remember that. I do remember that, and I remember from a trainer's standpoint, putting my trainer's hat on. When I watched it, I said, this is going to be a problem for Micky the next round because I just know human nature. Mm-hmm. I know what happens. You were where you had to be, and you weren't going from there. I mean, you were where you had to be in that round. But then when they told you it was over, you let go.
When everything come out.
Yeah, you let go. I mean, like you said, relief. Yeah. Like it's over. Thank God. And then they tell you it's not. You have to get back, and it's kind of like it's like shutting an engine of a car off. In the middle of the highway, and you shut the engine of the car off, and then you got to start it again. I mean, that ain't
on a cold night.
On a cold night. On a cold night. That ain't the thing that you want to do, and it's not the easiest thing to do to get that car started again. And that for me. That's why you lost the 10th round, because of that. It wasn't because of the punches thrown. It was because of the mental place that you left. And you had to get back to that place.
Yeah. And I just didn't get back to it. But I too tried to put the pressure on, this, that, but he boxed very well last round. He
Well,
knew he had to stay.
Testament to how tough he was because you put it on him at that round. I mean, if Buddy McGirt's ready to stop
he was pretty remarkable. One thing about Gatti, that we've seen a lot of tough guys, but one thing about him, he, up to that point in his career, he had a uncanny ability to recuperate.
Yes, he had very, very, I don't know what it is in him, but he had, I'm not going to say superhuman, but he had those crazy recuperating power. Like how he recuperates. I called him Jason, you know? And I call him that when I go out with him here and there after and have a few beers. I go, you know something? You're just like Jason when I fought you. He goes, he had that squeaking, you know.
Tell us who Jason is, so people.
He's from the movie, you know, Halloween, whatever. Yeah, when you can't kill.
Yeah, with the hockey mask.
Keeps popping up in your face. That was him. Every time I'd put him down or whatever, I'd get up and fight hard. I'm like, you bastard.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. One of the things that I liked about that, the aftermath of that fight, was the relationship that you maintained with Arturo. Can you talk about your relationship with him and how it, the relationship after the first fight, and then how the relationship was through the second and third fight?
Well, and wait, one thing. Did it start, as legends have it, that it started in the emergency room in the hospital, both of you on stretchers?
Right. No, that happened in the third fight. That.
Okay.
But you know what? After the first one, we had mutual respect. Second one, mutual respect. You know, we respect each other. It didn't happen to the third one. After the third fight, we both ended up in the emergency room together, and my doctor that came down. That used to stitch me up in the room and stuff. I couldn't, you know, I need my brain shifted the third fight, so I had to go to the hospital. And Gatti, they said, we got someone here who wants to say hi to you, or whatever, your buddy or whatever. And I'm like, who's this? They put the curtain open, and there was Arturo
on a stretcher.
On a stretcher, he was getting stitched up. Well, they were getting ready to stitch him.
The curtain in the hospital that separates you, right?
Yes,
in the emergency room. Yeah.
I'm over here, and he's over here. The first thing they opened the curtain up is what he said to me. I'm all banged up and stuff, and he was not as banged up as me.
You're laying on the stretcher, right?
I'm on the bed, and he's on the bed.
Yeah.
But I'm laying flat, and he's laying up like this. So I was a little worse. But the first thing out of his mouth, right, when he seen me, Ted, wasn't nothing like good fight, this, that. The first thing out of his mouth, Ted, I get goosebumps saying it. He goes, Mick, you okay? And that we became best of friends after that. That showed me, like, what a man. You know, they asked me after 30 rounds if I was okay.
Yeah.
You know, and I get goosebumps saying that.
Yeah. That's
how we became such good friends.
But if you have heart, you have heart, right?
100%.
Right? And the heart doesn't stop just in the ring to have heart.
Right.
In the ring, you have to have heart other places, right?
Right, yeah.
And that's the extension of it. That's the depth of it.
Right.
And, you know, it's a good story that you say that, because I don't know any other place in life where 1 minute you could be doing what you two were doing to each other.
Right, yeah.
And the next minute you have complete love and respect because you know where you've been.
Right. Yeah.
You've been to places where other people couldn't go.
Right, exactly. Yeah, we've been to that place, that dark place where people are scared to go.
You know, and you know, a lot of times I wish that some of these phony leaders of the world could just get in the ring with each other. You know, some of these politicians get in the ring with each other, and then they might have a different outlook and different sort of approach to things and a different respect for each other.
Sure.
You know, if they could, but they couldn't make that journey because they don't have the stuff probably to do that. But it does show you what we talk about. You know, when you talk about mutual respect and you talk about it in different places, nowhere does it show brighter or clearer than after two men do battle.
Right. You know, and, you know, the best thing I get out of the whole thing was I got a friend for life. Well, you know, until I get taken, but, I got a friend for life for a while. I had a very close, good friend that we tried to kill each other. And we became great friends, you know, and that's one of the best thing I got out of it.
I remember one time, it's a great thing to get out of it, you know, you got something extra bonus. I remember one time you came to one of my, you come to my charity affairs all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it was the golf or it was the dinner. It was probably the dinner, but you were funny Just because you're such a good person and you got a great sense of humor besides everything else. And somebody was talking to you, and for just a split second, like I do, you forgot what it was you were thinking about. And and what did you say? You said,
"Thanks, Arturo." Yeah. Again, you got me again. Every time I forget something, thanks again.
That's one of the things that I wish that they had covered in the fight.
Right.
And I know the movie The Fighter, starring Mark Wahlberg, Christian Bale playing your brother Diggy, was about your relationship with your brother. But one of the things that I wish that they had covered, or if they make The Fighter Part 2, that they get into the relationship with Gatti and the battles and the mutual respect and the relationship you developed afterwards. What were your injuries after that fight? I think you had was it a detached retina?
No.
Just to put into perspective for people.
I had my brain had shifted in my skull, and it forced my eye muscles to go out of whack. Like it happens. I believe it happens when you get in a car accident, you fall down the stairs, bang your head. My brain shifted so hard over that I was seeing double, and so I had to go in almost a year later, and they had to cut the eye muscles in here and pull them and even everything off. So
that just, I wanted to cover that just to give context and perspective to like how vicious these battles were. I mean, they were crazy. You don't hear about many fighters. Unfortunately, people get hurt, but you don't hear too often something like that extent.
Right. Plus, I got the CTE. Well, I'm actually donating. I'm in the study with Dr. Robert Cantu, Chris Nowinski from Boston Medical BU. The brain bank. I'm donating my brain when I pass so they can study the effects of concussions and part of my spinal cord.
Not surprising. You've been a good person always. Not surprised to hear that.
Well, you are. You're a special person. I want to go to a fight for me that was, we just talked about these magnificent fights, these battles that are historic, right? But it's the ones that maybe people don't see on HBO. It was on ESPN though.
Yeah.
And that they don't hear about and they don't read about. But without them, you don't get to the HBO $1 million fight.
100%.
Right? I want to talk about, to me, was one of the greatest fights we ever had on ESPN. And it was against a guy named Emmanuel Augustus.
Yeah, Emmanuel Burton.
Emmanuel Burton, and he changed his name to Emmanuel Augustus, right? And he was one of the most toughest, but also most entertaining fighters I think we've ever had. Alongside with you being one of those. And it was on ESPN. We used to do fights up at the Hampton Beach, or once a year.
Big difference.
In the summer.
Slightly.
Big difference. Yeah. Not Caesar's Palace.
That's where Mick and I were spending our childhood, the Hamptons in New Hampshire.
Yeah. And we would do, ESPN would contract to do one fight every, what was it, July?
Every July, yeah.
July. And let me tell you, it was an old ballroom that was no air conditioning.
Exactly.
And it was packed. And it was hot. And it was very hot.
Some people were drinking.
And a lot of drinking.
There was better fights in the crowd than there was that night.
That's right. And probably a lot of cigarettes being smoked in the arena.
And when we would do these shows, everybody looked forward to it because it was going to be a special show and Micky Ward was going to be on the card. And this night, it was Micky Ward and Emmanuel Burton at the time.
Yeah.
And nobody quite knew what they were about to be in for when that night started. Talk about that night.
That night, that Emmanuel Burton, Emmanuel Augustus, if he is not the most, I'm not going to say, he was such deservingly, so much better than what they said he was. He was so much more of a fighter than they said he was. Such a, to me, he was a really good guy after, he just,
he was a good guy.
He was a great guy. He, great. I mean, he might have been one of my toughest fights in my whole life. If not the toughest, to be honest with you. I know Arturo's fights were tough,
Of course.
But this kid here, Emmanuel Augustus, he was as tough, if not tougher than anyone I've ever fought. He hit me in places in the belly that I've never been hit before. Seriously. And I wasn't hurt till I had to go down, but I felt like I had to shit my pants a couple of times. So he hit me, I'm like, oh, you bastard, excuse me. You know what I mean? I'm like, ooh. You know what I mean? I'm like, ooh. I heard, like little aggravating punches, not ones that are going to go down and kill. But he, breathing the wrong way or whatever it was in the solar plex and stuff. He just had that herky jerky, and he was good. He was
very awkward.
Very awkward. Just good fighter, and I wish he had gotten more credit than he had gotten.
I agree.
Because he was a great fighter, and he just fought not over his head, but he fought out of shape a lot. I don't think in shape. I think he would have been a top 5-3 fighter in the world, or maybe even a world champion without a doubt.
He did get that one big fight. Do you remember? He got the fight with Mayweather.
Yes, and Floyd said up to that point it was his toughest fight he's ever had.
He sure did say that.
And that's something for Floyd Mayweather to say.
That's quite a statement.
Right.
That is for Floyd Mayweather, one of the great defensive fighters of our era.
Exactly.
To say that. But that was some fight.
Yeah, I mean, that was tough. He was just... He was hard to hit.
Every time you thought you had him, in the first round you thought you had him, right?
Oh, yeah, I threw... I don't know how I threw over 1,000 punches in the fight, or 1,200 or something. I don't know what it was, but...
And then he just came back.
And I threw that many punches and he landed more. How does that...
Well, to put it in perspective, if you said that's your toughest fight, and we just talked about the Alfonso Sanchez fight where basically the commentators were calling for someone to save you from yourself, to say that this other fight was tougher is saying a lot, because that Sanchez fight was, I mean, you one or two more punches, your corner could easily stop that. So
100%.
That's saying a lot.
Yeah. No, and the thing about,
not his corner. His corner wasn't going to stop.
Oh, yeah, no. Dickie, you have to have a toe tag on me before you stop it with him.
We love Dickie, but the truth is the truth.
He's here somewhere.
He wasn't going to stop that.
I just grabbed him.
He would have told him Mickey could come back like the Walking Dead.
Yeah,
and he
I'd be
would
like Thriller on Michael Jackson.
He go and he would say, "Jump up and down, Mick."
Yeah.
Tell him that story.
Well, and it worked though.
It did work.
I fought Reggie Green, another tough fight for me. Another very tough fight for me.
Brutal fight.
Brutal. That kid was top 3. Could have been a world. He was a world champ by my eyes. He didn't win the title, but I thought he did. But
against who?
Sean B. Mitchell.
Yeah, he got robbed, right?
Well, they say that. I seen the fight. I thought he won.
You thought he won?
Yeah.
It was a draw, right?
Draw. Yeah. But he was such a good fighter. And I ended up stopping him in the 10th round, but he beat me up a lot in that fight. He dropped and almost dropped me. Like if the ropes weren't there, I would have been out on the highway behind the building. He hit me so hard. I got a ton of stitches in my lip from that punch, and I got a cuts here, cuts there. And I finally caught up to him in the 10th round and stopped him, but he was...
Tell him about when you came back to the corner after you hit that left
that's
hook.
Right. So I come back to the corner after he had hurt me, and I was on like, oh my God, I'm out of it. So Dickie, instead of sitting me down, he has me jumping in the corner, get my legs under me. He's bounce, get your legs, get blood, get everything flowing. Then he sat me down and told me what to do, and I didn't hear it.
Let's also quickly remind me. Remind everyone.
No.
Remind everyone how
hit him if he did.
That's true.
Yeah. Remind everyone how good Dickie was as a fighter himself. Didn't he fight? Was it Sugar Ray Leonard at the Garden?
At Heinz Auditorium in Boston. Okay. He fought him. Yeah, he was a good fighter. If he ever trained,
fought Sugar Ray Leonard.
Yes, he's good. Very good, great fighter. If he ever trained,
if
he trained, but he never trained. And he was such talent that it's a shame.
He's a good boxer.
Very good.
Yeah. Let's visit that Green fight for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, I broadcast the fight.
Yes.
And you were getting hit from pillar to post. Is that fair to say? He was that fight, there were spots where you could have made an argument almost to stop it. He was catching you and he was a really good fighter, as you just said.
He was sharp, very sharp, and he knew where to place his punches well.
But you were always there. But it's fair to say it's a one-sided fight up to
pretty much, yeah.
At that point. And I think it was, what'd you say, 10th round? It was the 10th round. And it's pretty, seconds. Yeah, it was pretty bad. and all one-sided. I don't think anybody would have came in there and say, Mickey's having a good day, right?
Mickey was in a one-sided fight and came back.
Again, I
never heard that.
It was, I remember calling that fight, and I remember the guy with me was, everybody's sentiment was this fight is over. Mickey's going to lose this fight, and it could even be possibly get to a point where it gets stopped. And I remember saying on the air, I thought in my head first, and then I remember saying on the air, no, it's not, because I know what this guy's got inside him, and I know the punch that he has.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty special left hook to the body, and if he just changes the direction of it a little bit, just the trajectory of it. You were throwing it this way, the conventional way.
Yeah.
You're throwing like that. And I said, if he just changes the trajectory of it and throws it this way,
bring it under, yeah.
It'll get inside the elbow where Green's keeping his elbow,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll be able to score. And it seemed like 5 seconds, after those words came out of my mouth, bang.
Yeah. See, I heard you.
You hit him that left hook in the body, and the fight changed. I mean, It was your fight all of a sudden.
Right.
It went from his fight, completely his fight.
Mm-hmm.
Can you take us from that point?
Yeah, well, the fight was just about over. As far as scorecards, I needed a knockout big time.
Yeah.
But again, I was cut under my lip, over my lip. Oh, in my lip and under my eye was cut, bleeding. I was bleeding in my mouth the whole fight, and I kept trying, and I finally caught up to him. But I needed a knockout to win, and I just didn't give up on myself again. Just kept pushing.
But Mick, it was more than that. It was about intelligence. It was about innate intelligence.
If I know I can catch him downstairs and bring his hands down a little bit, I can come back up to the head.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
What made you change because really you were throwing a left hook to the body, but it was
what I was doing was I think I was throwing it too wide. And I was getting it off his elbow and going to the back of him.
Yeah, you were catching.
So I switched it up, and instead of bringing it here, I bring it more like into the liver,
almost,
like an uppercut, a hook uppercut.
Yeah,
and placed it right in
the liver.
It was not outside of his elbow, but inside of his elbow.
Yeah,
and it landed, and
but
that started. Then I hit him with a hook to the head, and that's when his legs went.
But to your credit, under all that pressure,
right,
all those punches, all those rounds, that you were still able to think clearly enough to do that.
I think it's instinct, pretty much. What you just do, and I guess what I'm trying to say
is I don't think there's any such thing as a lucky punch.
Right?
Would you agree with me?
If you throw a bomb maybe in the first round or something,
I got you. But when these guys land, like you landed that punch, it wasn't a lucky punch that finally landed.
I thrown that all night
because all night long you were trying, and then you had to switch. Like George Foreman too. Even though I hate to go to this place, but when he caught my guy, which
great Michael Mora.
Yeah, we were ahead in the fight. We won every round, every minute of every round. And then people said afterwards to kind of take away from George, he made history.
Yeah.
What is he, 45 years old? Special man. And he finally caught my guy, and people said, oh, it was a lucky punch. No, it wasn't. It was all his experience to set that punch up.
Right.
To go through fire that he had to go through all night.
Yeah.
And to have the experience and the mind to be clear enough after all that to move him where he had to move him. Because what he did was, I kept telling Michael to move this way, to his right, away from the right hand, because George was trying to land the right hand.
Right.
But what George did, everyone said, oh, he moved the wrong way. Well, what George did was he threw a left hook
to bring him back
him back here.
Right.
So it wasn't a lucky punch.
He set that up.
He set it up. And you set up that.
Well, by doing it all night, like you said, I look at it that way, it's true. You know what I mean? I had to open that, but I had to get that arm or his elbow to be more outside than more inside.
Yeah.
Because I was coming off his elbow and it hitting his liver, not his liver, his kidney back there, whatever. Yeah. And whatever I can hit, I'm gonna hit. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, sure.
So I did going more in the inside of that elbow, and it worked and it helped. I mean, it caught him, and then his arm went down. It caught him in the chin, then another hook on top of the head, and he went down.
I'll finish for myself with this. It's been a great talk with you, but I'll finish for me. So and then kind of take it where he wants to take it and bring it home. But I remember there's not a lot of good real boxing writers left in this sport anymore. There's a couple, but back in those days, you still had newspapers covering the sport. Yes. Nowadays, it's all internet stuff.
Right.
You heard about that place called the Internet?
I heard about it. I'm not good on it, but
I heard that there's a thing out there called the Internet, and I'm a little primitive, but there was still boxing scribes, boxing writers in big papers, and real boxing writers, guys that paid their dues, guys that really knew the sport. And one of them, was up from your place. I wrote for the Boston Globe at the time. His name was Ron Borges.
Ron Borges, a very good friend.
Yeah. And he was one of the best writers in the business, if not the best. So anyway, he's covering it, and he witnessed your fight, that fight. So afterwards, he says, he calls me up. He's friends with both of us.
Yeah.
He calls me up and he says, Ted, I'm on a deadline here. I got to get my story, and I need something from you. To me, we saw something unusual tonight. I said, yeah, I think that's fair. He said, can you put it into perspective for me? Can you give me something to get this story out there? And I said, yeah. He said, go ahead, give it to me. What would you give me if you gave me some about what we saw tonight? I said, it's like the first time that you're taking your kid to the zoo. Do you remember this story?
Yes, I do.
And it's like the first time you're taking your kid to the zoo, and your kid's all excited, and he's been hearing about it. He's going to see the lion. And he's never seen a lion before. He's heard about it. He's heard the king of the jungle, the lion, the proud lion. And you take your kid, and he's all excited. You walk, you pay for it. You walk through the gate, and you're starting to walk down, through the birds and through, the alligators and through all the different things and the gazelles and everything else. And then all of a sudden, you're starting to get around the corner, and you're getting around near where the lion cage is. And just as you're making the turn, just before you get there, you're about to look, you're about to see it, and all of a sudden you hear, "Rah!" you hear this roar, and nobody's got to tell the kid what that is. That's the lion. And you say, there's no, even though he's never seen it before, he knows what that is. It's the lion.
Mm-hmm.
It could only be the lion. And I said to him, that's what you saw. If you never went to a fight before, if you never saw what a fighter looks like, what a fighter acts like, what a fighter breathes like, what a fighter behaves like, what a fighter is, what a champion's heart is, you didn't have to go to any other places. You didn't have to read any Ring magazine books. All you had to do was walk in that arena and see Micky Ward, and immediately you said, that's a fighter.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you.
And that's you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And it's pretty apropos that that's what they called the movie based on your life, The Fighter. And that's probably a good place to leave off. I don't think I can top that. Teddy's a hard act to follow, but I just want to say thanks for being with us, Mick. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Really looking forward to this, and I know the people are going to love it. So, thanks a lot. Thanks for joining, everyone. Please feel free to share the link, leave a comment, and thanks for the continued support. Peace.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.